everybody. Welcome back to sprueVerse, my scale model universe. People of Earth, welcome to a brand new build. The sprueVerse challenge build. That is right, we are there. Finally getting, sort of diving in. And I'm super excited. Now, for those of you who don't know what the sprueVerse challenge is, this is something that we do maybe twice a year, sometimes more, but usually once or twice a year. And it's a challenge between myself, Lou Dalmaso over at Aztek Dummy, and of course the great Wayne Green over at WorldofWayne. And you can check out both those awesome human beings' channels. I'll put a bunch of information in the description below, but for the rest of you, you know what's going on here. This is the challenge. Now, we announced this on Wayne's channel, and if you go back on my channel, you'll see the announcement and just exactly what we're doing. But suffice it to say, here we are, and we're diving in. Now, this build series is going to unfold after we do the final reveal. So you're watching this sort of as a detailed kind of commemoration of how we got to the final build. Here we go. The whole thing is on the bench, and it is a beautiful piece of work. I've been going through and sort of checking fit, cleaning everything up. There's a couple of small issues I have to deal with. Right here, I've noticed there is a line here, quite a hard line that I'll show you. Nothing to panic about, but let's just get this. There it is. So you can see this line here. Now, this is just a it's something that happens in resin. It's nothing to worry about. It's easily fixed. There's a couple of ways to do it. Putty can do it, but one of the things that I've discovered, which I highly recommend, is this. Here it is, and you can get it from ny3dcreations.com. It's resin. It's a liquid resin. It comes in these little bottles, and it's going to fall into that seam beautifully, and then you're just going to quick cure it with a UV flashlight. Very simple, and that will go away, and then we can sand that down and smooth it down, and that'll be gone. So that's just a simple fix. For the most part, she's looking really good, and I'm super pleased with it. I've gone through all the parts. Everything is here, and I'm ready to go. So what we're going to be doing in this particular update is we're gonna dive into this piece right here, because this is the piece that obviously it needs to get detailed out. So I've got to go through, and I've just got to really sand this down nicely, and then I can start to add all of the elements that go on top of it. But that's step one, is really to sort of clean these parts up, and then get a coat of primer on them. And then we can start to work on detailing it out, because until this is detailed out, I cannot continue, because the way this is designed is it's going to drop into the shark, the body of the shark, right here. Like this, and I don't want to force it down. I've been checking fit, and we're sort of slowly working on fit, but it's pretty good. It's actually a pretty decent fit, and it should be snug. But I don't want to start forcing anything just yet. But I have been playing with this a little bit, and I have managed to get this to drop in. There it is. It just dropped in, and then you sort of force it down, but I won't be doing that until everything is painted. But it looks really clean on here. And then of course that slides all the way in to the back. There's a hole where and a peg where that drops into. But I've noticed just right now, I've noticed that I've got some dry fit issues that I've got to contend with, because I just need to make sure that everything is dropping into place. And of course, there we go. Okay, so I'm seeing that I've got a little bit of work to do to get this to line up correctly, because there's a pin back here where my finger is, right back there, and that pin is going to hold it in place. Now if I tip it up just slightly, you can see in here, let me get this to show you. Here's the pin. Oh no, there's the pin I need to be on, right there, and there is the connecting female part that joins to it, and you can see I'm quite off. And when I apply a little bit of pressure to this, I cannot get this to sit nicely in the back of the shark yet. So that's what I've got to work on. I've got this plug here, and it dives into the back there. Now that's the awkward part, and it just needs, what I'm seeing as I look down here is I've just got a little bit of cleanup to do, and I should be able to do that, and we'll check fit again. But dry fitting is really critical, and then of course cleaning up all the parts. So that's sort of the next big step. But the display, it's important, because part of the challenge, part of the sprueVerse challenge, I should say, is that we have to declare what our image is going to be. And I have declared my image to be this. This is the moment that I'm trying to capture. Now, interestingly enough, we're not going to be there won't be two sets of legs. We'll only have the one set of legs, and they'll belong to Quint. And he's going to just about be eaten by the shark, and that's the moment. And so the way we're going to do that is I have I've got some things on order, but it's going to be sitting on two pieces of acrylic. One piece will be where the orca, the stern end of the orca will sit, and the shark will be here, but there'll be a portion of it that will be under this acrylic, and that will represent the ocean floor, and we'll see the rest of the mechanism sitting there. So you should be able to get this sort of cutaway of it appearing as though it's in the water, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that. I've been roughing in my stern piece. Here it is, looking quite nifty. So I've started to build this. And here is my 8-inch Quint, and he will sit here, and the shark will be about here. And so that is sort of the filmic moment that is required for the challenge. And this is a pretty good Quint. I found him online. Take a look at the sculpt. It's a good sculpt. It's a good sculpt. So all I've got to do is I got to get some blood out of his mouth. Now I've lost the rest of this. I've ordered a second one because I need his bandana to be on, and I want to do some testing, and I don't want to sort of ruin everything until then. But this is my sculpt, and I'm really happy with him. And we should be able to get him in a really cool position. If I show you this position, you'll see that he's got plenty of room back there. I can detail all of this out, and I've made this. This is approximately this is a pretty decent scale. So once this is all painted and detailed out, beer cans and stuff strewn all the way around, as you can see in this image here, I think we're going to have a pretty decent representation. Now, obviously, there's a lot to do, but I'm excited to be diving into this challenge. Okay, so we'll come back when I've cleaned everything up and got everything fitting correctly, and then of course we'll start to work on the guts of this thing. So, okay, quick update here. I've decided that the internal structure of the shark will be an airframe green. It's sort of like in my head, you know, I'm seeing this airframe, this structural frame. It most likely was just sort of bare aluminum and different kinds of metals, and then of course there'll be all kinds of stuff going on from leaking and hydraulics. It was all fine, obviously, until it went into the water, and then all hell broke loose, and we know what happened. But what I'm loving is the different contrasting color. So the actual carcass, the inside of it, I'm going for a sort of a brownish color. We'll look at that a little later. It's almost like a desert brown, a desert yellow, and that's going to simulate what the foam insulation might have looked like that protected the inside of this. And then the airframe or the frame itself will be green, and I'll start picking off colors. So a couple of tanks I might make blue or red just to pop them. And of course all the hose lines and everything, I'm going to go for blacks, rubbers, and that sort of a thing. And we'll look at that on the bench when I'm picking that stuff up. But I wanted to just jump in here for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm very excited about that. Oh, the color I used is the gray green. Here it is. For those of you who are interested and following along, here's the gray green that I'm using. It's the XF76. So that's what we're using for the airframe. Now, I have got my Bible here. I don't know if you call it a secret weapon, but it's my Bible. And this is pretty cool. And what I'm loving about this, let me get my my gloves off. We don't need those. What I'm loving about this is this book, Memories from Martha's Vineyard. It's an expanded second edition by Matt Taylor. I think I found this on Amazon quite a few years ago. But what I'm really excited about is a lot of the wonderful details here. This particular shot here, and I wonder if I can get this into frame. Let me see if I can. I'm building another model as I'm building this one, so I've got a desk full of stuff. But I think this is important, and I want to see if I can get this into frame. I can. There we go. There we go. So this what I love about this photo is it's them clearly prepping to see how the shark dives onto the back of the orca. They were sort of clearly setting up for that shot. So this is kind of the precursor to where I'm going with what I'm doing, which is to put Quint in the mouth of the shark. So I'm super happy to be diving back into this book, and I use this obviously for reference for building my orca, which is on my channel. If you go back and look, if you're interested in the orca, which I thought was a fantastic build. I built that as the sprueVerse challenge with my good friend Wayne Green over at World of Wayne. But in the back here, you start to look at some really wonderful details. I mean, you know, what the tanks looked like that were supposed to weigh down the the shark. And as I'm flipping through here, I came to some really fantastic photos. Here's one that I absolutely love. This is a great shot. Excuse my glare. I apologize. There, that's better. Loving that shot. So, you know, they got some pretty decent angles from it, and they must have had a few minutes where they were kind of excited about what was going on. And then, of course, I found this, which I'm really super happy about, because I looked at this, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, self? You may have just arbitrarily realized or did something, you know, and got lucky, because, see if I can get this into frame. Let's see, where am I going here? Where am I going? Make sure I'm not knocking anything over here. Yeah, there's the photo. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell from this photo, but that's green. That is most definitely green. There's a red hose here and a black hose. I can see some browns, so I'm going to put some rusts in here. But the structural frame was green. How about that for just sheer luck? Unbelievable that I got that right. That was just a guess. Here's another wonderful shot right here. Again, demonstrating that it was in fact green. And giving you some a wonderful look at some of the hosage and the airframe behind it. That is really cool. Now, the other thing they've got, which I'm really impressed with, well, it's sort of very inspirational, is this sketch. Because this sketch is basically what I'm doing. I've extended this crane arm, and I have this crane arm. Now, obviously, this was just a design of what the platform might look like, but they ended up with something slightly different. But really happy about that. And then, of course, this is the pièce de la résistance, because this particular shot here is a wonderful shot of Robert Shaw just hanging out with the shark. Continuing on with the Brewster Mechanical Shark build, this wonderful thing from Dave and Laura over at Stan Arts, awesome human beings, and we're thrilled to be building this thing of beauty. Okay, what I've started to do now is I've started to work on the frame details. So this is the guts that you'll actually see, and a lot of the hoses were just rubber hoses. So I do have my rubber out, and everything is getting a coat of that. But I put my rubber over a coat of the flat black. The reason why I do that is because sometimes I've found my rubber black to be a little too blue for me. So my preference is to my preference is to put the flat black down first, and then it takes a little bit of the blue out of the rubber black. Anyway, that's just my humble opinion. And we've got an opportunity to add some hosage of our own, and I will do that. I will add some hoses of my own. I've got to put some aluminum couplings on here, and the way I'll do that is with some paint, and I've got some metal tape and things like that I can use as well. And I've got most of the frame here. Most of this frame is really it's sort of, I'm staying in the aircraft colors. And I'm sort of just treating it that way. Now, what I've been doing here is just roughing in some color, and then I'm going to go back and detail everything out, you know, just to create some interest and some shading. Let me get this brush in clean here, because while I walk away from this for a second and talk to you about everything else that I'm doing, and there is a lot going on with this build. Okay, so I'm going to set the frame aside for a second because I'm working on those details, and we'll come back to that. This is the actual frame that has been lovingly created for me by Jeff Fink, and what we've done is we have recreated the ballast frame that the crane arm sits on for the shark. So the idea being is this platform has these tanks, and they're hooked up to compressed air, and these probably had diesel fuel in them. I'm not sure. But the idea here is that they could weight down and drop to the ocean floor with the crane arm on it, and that allowed them to have the shark sit in the water, and then they would control it. But I wanted to create a little drama here. Obviously, I don't know how the ocean would have affected this arm, but I thought it would be fun to use some of my metal effects oxidizing paint. I love this. I've used this an awful lot. You put a couple of coats of this on after you've put a primer on. There is a primer that comes with this, but you can also use just a flat black, whatever you choose. And you put a couple of coats on this, you let those dry, and when they're dry, you come along with the activator, which comes with your kit. And you spritz it down a couple of times, and then you let it do its magic. And what you get left with is this wonderful, absolutely wonderful rusting effect that is... It's just pure magic, and it looks so wonderful. I mean, just the detail, the level of detail that this gives you is just extraordinary. So I just love it. So that is our base that is dangerously close to being ready to go. Now, what I'd like to do now is take you over to my side bench where where I've been building Bruce, because I needed to keep my bench clear, my workbench bench clear for painting and detailing and some other stuff that I'm working on. And why I said yes, I don't know, but I'm working on a couple of commission builds at the moment as well, so I needed to keep my desk clean. But anyway, let's head over to the other bench, and let me show you what's going on over there. Okay, so I've been working feverishly on this, and I'm actually really happy with where we are. There's so much to do, but we've got so much accomplished. Okay, so the way this presentation is going to work is that I've got my acrylic, and what I've got is I've got my ocean floor that I've created from. This is just created from a piece of foam, insulation foam that I bought at my local hardware store, and I have put several coats of my AK Interactive Dark Earth mix on this. I've let that dry, and now I'm going to have to go back and lighten that up and give it some contrast and some interest. And then I will paint something similar around it, on the floor, just to give it, just to sort of make it all blend together, and then this will get glued down. Then what happens is, let me grab this. I wasn't thinking. I should have grabbed this. But what happens then is the crane arm that I showed you a little earlier. That is going to sit here, simulating the fact that it's on the ocean floor. And that's going to sit like that. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because I've simulated the ocean. This is the ocean. This is the sort of the ocean, the top of the ocean. I don't know what to describe it as. This is under the sea. This is on top of the water. There we go. Under the water, on top of the water. See? Give me a few years and I'll get things right. Okay, so so a couple of things I've done. I've drilled into the this acrylic sheet, and I'm using 1/4-inch acrylic. Here's a piece of it. That's the thickness of it. 1/4-inch acrylic, which you can get anywhere. I had these cut for me, and that created the box. So now I've got two parts to this diorama. I have got my under the water piece, and I've got my above the water piece. And so, because of the span of this, which is 24 inches, you know, you get a little bit of a sag. But the way that sag gets fixed is I have got the bottom piece of the crane arm. This is the piece that goes under the water and is going to connect to my the frame of my ballast tanks. And there's one more wheel that has to go in here, and I'm just working on getting that cleaned up now. And then there's a pin that goes through here, and then it goes into this wheel like this, and then that looks like that sort of thing. I haven't finished it yet, but the idea here is that then this piece sits directly under my mount. Now, in the kit that you get this base. Okay, this is how you would display it if you weren't going to all this mishigas of a nightmare. You would just display it on this, and it would be absolutely awesome. So if you're planning on building along, or you're going to get this kit, and you're going to think to yourself, I can't do all of this. Of course you don't have to, and you shouldn't, unless you're part of the sprueVerse challenge and you have a bolt loose like I do, and you do this. Now, I don't know exactly what Lou's doing, and I certainly don't know exactly what Wayne's doing. I have a pretty good idea, but I don't think we're treading on each other's territory, because one of the rules was that we all had to take a frame from a production still and try to mimic that. That was basically what the idea is. Okay, so I have taken the acrylic rods of my own. I had to make them a little longer, and the idea here is that in the kit itself, what happens is your wheel that essentially it allows the shark to sort of pivot. It's designed to connect to the inside of Bruce. And we all know why he's called Bruce. He's named after Stephen's lawyer, Bruce Raymer. And that's where Bruce comes from. That's why he was called Bruce. And so that connects on. But that's not what actually stabilizes the model. What actually stabilizes the model is these two acrylic rods, which go into two holes that are supplied, that are in the print. And so the idea is that you would sit these on the rod, and then your shark is able to live quite beautifully here. And that connects down, and it appears as though, and this will all get painted, and it appears as though this is what's happening above the water, and this is what's happening below the water. That's what I'm doing. And the reason why I've given it a little height like this, and I've not sat all of this under the water is because I believe when they went to film Quint being eaten by the shark off the back of the orca, they had to get this in a certain position, which is what I'm having to do. So my cutaway piece of the stern of the orca, which I've constructed out of balsa wood, that goes in the back here, and I have to just figure out the angle and the height of all of that. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm working on it. But and then all of this can be constructed, and I can paint my simulated ocean on this. I can spray that on, and that will work quite well. And I will have essentially what I'm doing, and then it's just to go to the races of getting this all seamed up, you know, cleaned up and everything else like that. I can't finish these seams until I've encased the shark. So there's this piece here that essentially allows you to lock this in like this to the back of the of Bruce, like that, and then this starts to look like something, right? And then here is the rear of your shark here, and that goes like this, and now all of a sudden you can start to see the scale of this thing, which is it's a hefty scale. Okay, I've got a little bit of work to do there to get those pins to fit, but that's fine. That no harm, no foul. We'll make that work. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is that what I've used for my simulated ocean is my it's from Rust-Oleum. It's called Dimensional Craft Paste, and that gave me my sort of choppy water that I'm going to paint. Okay, so I'm in relatively good shape, believe it or not. Things have come together really well. Lots to do in terms of moving this along, but I wanted to show you this part before we show you the progress. And the progress will ultimately be detailing out the guts, and then starting to figure out where all the pipes go and how it all connects. Well, I'm back on the shark. I've got a few things drying. I've got my proscenium back here that I'm working on, and pretty excited about that. That's almost ready for detailing. So, but anyway, I wanted to talk about the shark because it was time to install the guts into the working mechanisms into the shark. Now, I had previously attached my head to the body, and I had done some basic joinery, but I have not done any seam work yet. I wanted to wait until the entire shark was together like this so that I could do that. Now, this isn't attached yet, but what I did do was I did have to do a little bit of tweakage. Now, for those of you who are building this, I know there was a fix that's being made to later kits, but it's not a big deal really. There's this little knob in right. Excuse me. There's a little knob in right here, and it had this nipple on it like this, and you could, there was an opportunity to, I can't get that, I don't think I can get that into frame. There was an opportunity to sort of clean out that hole, but that's a tricky one, obviously, because this is one solid piece. Perhaps this could have been, this could have been a separate piece in here that just slipped into this, but I'm sure David had his reasons why he didn't want to do that, and that's perfectly fine. We were able to get enough coverage on this that we didn't have too much of an issue. Now, so now the joinery works. I have already taken the liberty of installing my frame. It is not difficult. You do have to make sure that your pins are clean and lined up, and you do have to do a couple of test fits, as I did. And what the test fitting allowed me to do was to make sure I had dress rehearsed how it was going to go in and how it was going to get glued, and I've done that, and it's gone in a charm, and it fits beautifully in the frame. I'm a big believer, obviously resin is very brittle, and I'm a big believer in don't force it. If it feels like it has to be forced, something is wrong. It's no different than, when you're clamping resin, it can only take a certain amount of pressure before it will crack. So it's just trial and error, really. But now we're ready to install the tail into this. And once the tail is in, I can then proceed to drop in the front here. Now the heartbreaker there is that all of this work here, all of this detail is going to disappear. That's the heartbreak. Now you will see some of it. You will see a little bit of it. Depending on the angle that you're looking at this from, you will be able to look in and see. But unfortunately, just in terms of raw detail, you're not going to see it. So the star of the show is going to be any hoses and anything you can do to sort of highlight and show this off. Now, what I've been using is from a company in the UK. I've been using these washes that are basically they're clay based. And I'm sure this is familiar to all the guys who live in the UK. Perhaps not so familiar to my US subscribers, but look, it's not cheap anymore to get anything shipped. I don't know of another company in the US that makes clay-based washes. If you do, let me know. Drop me a line or leave a comment below and let me know. And I'm sure there's a formula that you can also use to make your own. So that could be interesting as well. The reason why I'm a fan of the clay bases is because when you're dealing with acrylics, unless you've got certain varnishes on and they are stable, enamel-based washes are a little unpredictable. And clay-based washes, you've got absolutely no fear of an issue. That's why I like them. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to install my tail, and then I will also then come back and I will install the front of this, and that will get us ready for final paint on the exterior. I am going to focus quite heavily on the mouth because we've got to do a lot of work to the mouth to get that really looking scary. So don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fun here, and but the star of the show really is sort of the whole finished piece. It's lovely to see the guts of this thing, and it's a great moment obviously in an epic film. And the other thing I will say about what David has done, which is absolutely extraordinary, is he has copied the anatomy of Bruce, not of an actual shark. And where you see that most dramatically is here in the jaw section. Because if you look at the anatomy of a real shark, this jawbone here and the piece that will connect the two, in real life, there is no seam here. But in the Bruce shark, you do see this seam. So I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to leave it so it looks like Bruce. I mean, we're going to be doing some cleanup on this section here, but where this jawline comes under here, this sort of flap, that was how they were able to hinge the mouth. And so I don't want to do anything to damage the hard work that David had done to think about all those details. And of course, all the scratches and scarring he's put on it, absolutely terrific. When we get to the eye, I will get a flat black in there with just a little dot for just from a highlight, and then that's going to get my Solar Res diamond clear over that. You could certainly use a gloss varnish and get a wet look effect, but the eyeball to really make that pop, I think it needs to be crystal clear resin. Anyway, that's the direction I'm going. Okay. Lots to do, but I think you'll agree it's really starting to come together. And boy, am I having so much fun building this. I really encourage all of you to go over to Stan Arts and grab one of these. You'll be glad you did. You really will. Okay, doing a quick test fit of the lower jaw. There's a key here. You can see in the back that allows it to sit proud, and you get this look. But what I don't like is I don't like this seam. So I'm going to putty that up, and I'm going to use my white putty and just clean that up and see if I can blend that in a little bit, because it just doesn't look right. Now, granted, you're never going to see it, but I'll know it's there. So I'm going to work on that, and then I'll just come back in and clean up this line. But that's what I want to do now. I want to get that done, and then it's really kind of cool. I was doing some research, and I noticed there are these kind of like black spots in a shark's mouth. I don't know if they're birthmarks or some kind of skin variation, but they're definitely pronounced and they're definitely there. So I've added these little black spots. Now, you'll never see them, but I think it's kind of cool. Also, once now that I'm happy with how this is all this is looking, I'm going to do some washes on this, and I'm actually, but I'll get this. I'll get this seam taken care of first before I start doing any blending in. But that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to pull out my white putty and I'm going to blend this in. When you start studying sharks and their behavior and what they look like in the water, what they look like out of the water, you start to think about what the ocean water does to change the color of things and what they actually look like in real life. And then you have to start thinking about Bruce itself and the fact that it was a practical prop that was painted by people who were not, they weren't artists, natural artists, painting something that looked photoreal. They were just trying to do the best they could to make it look like a shark for a camera that in those days would have a lot of different filters and lenses and light for it. And so it would look very different. So then you start to think to yourself, well, do I paint this like a prop or do I paint it like a real shark? And you have to start making decisions. And so I'm going for a prop. And I'm trying to sort of make things look as honest as I can. I've got a little bit of blending to do here, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the results I'm getting. Let me turn this to camera for you, and so you can start to see So we've got the umbilical side, the gut side, which is the filming side, which is what we're sort of showcasing. And then you do have an opportunity to paint the back side, which is what I've been doing. Now, curiously enough, the snout is obviously, it's too sharp. It's going to start to look a lot narrower because now I'm going to put its mouth in. I have to do that to sort of finish. Here's my completed piece. And I don't think I can get you any closer. I can certainly try. I've got I'm not very well organized in the paint department here. But there's my my upper jaw and my lower jaw all painted, and I've got them sealed with some acrylic medium. This is a brilliant gloss to create sort of a lovely wet look. And if I can, well, I can get you a little closer. So here's what they look like out of his mouth. There's top, and here is bottom. And I'm very, very pleased with those. If I can get you a little closer here, I will. Let me see if I can. I have to be really careful because it's not terribly. There we go. So I'm really happy with the way this turned out, and huge difference it makes with the jaws in. I've got a lot of blending to do here. It's all in and it's nice and tight. I used 1 minute epoxy to get it all locked in, so it's not going anywhere. And I think it makes a huge difference. And I'm really happy with the way this is starting to turn out. I've got some blending to do, and you can see here these are supposed to be scars right here. I've painted them in, and now I've got to blend them in, so I just have to soften those back. Lots of details, but for the most part she's looking pretty good, and I'm liking all the mottling and everything else, and the shading. I've got a little more shading and blending to do, but for the most part she's looking really clean. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is just finish up cleaning up the jaw, getting that all blended and puttied in, and then I've got a little bit of putty to do inside the mouth, so I'll take care of that, and that will take care of the actual physical construction of the main shark. And then I've got eyes to do, and then we can concentrate on getting this installed, and then we can start looking at next steps to attach it to its crane arm and putting in all the umbilical cords and cables. I'm going to be using adding some red cables because I think that will look good. So I've taken some red wire and some some electrical shrink tubing, and I'm just playing with that to see what it all looks like. And the kit comes with essentially 3 cables to use with the system, and to sort of show you here, see if I can yeah, here we go. So you've got one that is going to go in first because it's in essence, a piece of it is going to go behind this armature in here. So but I've just added a few elements to it. I've just added some red hose, and I picked out some colors just because it's kind of bland in there, but it's so far back you're not really going to see it, but it'll add a little bit of depth and interest to that hose. And then after that hose, let's see here. Yeah. Well, you've got, I don't know if you can see it, it's a little too dark. Maybe I can hit it with a flashlight and pick it out for you. Yeah, that might be better. But you can see there's this hose back here that I painted that it's behind the armature. So I had to put some, I had to put some paint on that before I installed it, which I did do. And then now it's sort of asking for what I'm looking for here, the next cables that have to be installed. Okay, here it is. So there's this cable is next, and this is the large cable that I have here, and that's going to get installed right up in here, so I have to do that next. That'll be number 2, and I'm going to get that installed before I put this into the diorama. And then the third one, which is kind of a curious one, which I've added a little bit more to. It wants it to be draped over the backside of the pulley. Now, here is the pulley, and it wants, essentially what it wants you to do is it wants you to droop this through. So in other words, it wants this to go through the pulley like this, like that, and then the top side of this is going to hook into this armature right, or this piece right here. So this goes on, and then this gets connected like that, and then this piece here can droop through, and I'm hoping, if I don't have enough, I can add some more, but that's how that's going to go. So I need to leave that like that, so I remember how that goes. Now I'm going to pick out these little couplings here with some silver, I think, which I'll do that now, and then I'll just let that dry. And then that takes care of the second one. Excuse me, the third one. So that's the three. That's the three that I'm working on right now, and I'll get those plugged in, and then we'll be done essentially with this. Except for I'm going to add. I'm going to run this piece right here. I put a little bit of just a little bit of shrink wrap over the cable here, just to add some contrast and a connection point. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I'm going to stick it back in the back, and I'm just going to run it through. So you'll see a little bit of it, but you won't see a lot. And I think that will be my third cable. And what I'll do is may even put a loop in it too, just to add some interest, you know, sort of like this. I mean, that's the fun thing about these, is we can go to town on them. Okay, so, and then that'll be in the back here, but I'll make sure that it doesn't interfere with this piece here, and that will take care of all the hoses. And then she'll be ready to be installed, and that'll be the next thing we do, because once Bruce is installed into the diorama, I can start working on the ocean, and also bringing in the Orca proscenium and getting that into place as well. So we are in the home stretch. Okay, I'm working on the staging for the Orca stern with Quint on it. It's kind of important I get this done now, because once I put it into position, I kind of want to know where everything goes in my head. The nose of Bruce is going to protrude through here as little or as much as I want, but I need it to essentially take over the actual stern element, so that it's quite prominent in the piece. One of the challenges here is because of the Stan Arts design, it's straight on. It was never designed to be put in something like this. Otherwise, it would have been twisted slightly. Curiously enough, the Pegasus shark model that Wayne and I messed around with when we put them in resin had a twisted body. It was not correct to the film. This one is, but this Bruce isn't twisted enough, if that makes sense, to get the perfect angle, which means that I'm going to have to try and do some contorting on the stern piece here, but I'm really enjoying where it is, and I think I've got the moment that I'm going to lock in here. Let's take a look. First of all, this is a wonderful sculpt of Robert Shaw. I don't know of another one out there that's as good as this. The scale is slightly off, but it's going to work. But I think what you can see here is the sort of the drama of this moment is going to play out really well. I mean, the detail on this is extraordinary, right down to his little bandana, which I absolutely love. Now, we're going to have to do some messing around with this to get it to look like there's a lot more water sloshing up on the deck. But I think that some of the details I'm starting to add are really making this a lot of fun. I've got his machete, I've got some beer cans, I've got some other debris that you'll see in this photo. And this, you know, this clearly shows you just sort of how contorted this was. But it does really show you a couple of excellent details, and it's going to be incredibly helpful for me to sort of get some of these elements. Now, I am noticing the ladder in the back here, but I think on our proscenium we've cut that off. You know, we've taken a lot less of that. So I've got room in the back for some debris, which we'll put here, and I can probably do another pass on the green. It might be a little too green, but I like the contrast. It looks really cool. And again, it's very theatrical. That's what I was going for, is just to give you a sense of the feeling of the orca's stern, you know, as Bruce sort of has plowed in and he's fighting with it before it completely tips up. So that's what I've gone for here, and I'm really happy with it. A couple of just sort of detailed out pieces here just to give it some atmosphere and some dimensionality. Obviously a little bit of the back here, and we'll dress that out with some debris and stuff because everything else is sort of washed off the deck. Maybe a couple of metal pipes indicating a piece of the shark cage, if that's still around. I'm not sure. The orca is now on the rear. This is going to get detailed out right here. Once I've got the mouth of the shark in and it's locked in, then I can put some detail parts here as if it's just sort of smashed through, and those pieces are exploding. But I can't do that until I've got it all firmly locked in. But it's looking really good. I used two colors for the ocean, and I'm really happy with it. I'm not going to do any more. So I started out as a base with the dimensional craft paste, and then I let that dry, and then I put two coats of different colors on. I put my Pacific blue from AK, and I also used my darker blue from Woodland Scenics, my deep blue. And what I'm doing now is I'm just coming back and I'm adding this sort of choppiness to the top of the waves, and I'm really happy with the way that it's looking, and that's really adding another level to this, and that just sort of bringing it all to life, and just trying to sort of randomly get this here, this sort of this frothiness that you see. You know, and I'm trying very hard to make sure that it's pretty random and not too nothing too close together. But where I've got this really lovely peak here, it's sort of one of the only peaks, nice peaks I have, choppy peaks. I'm sort of playing with that and trying to keep this as random as possible, but it's really, the effect is quite good. So couldn't be happier with that. And so I just got to be careful I don't go crazy, because sometimes I have a tendency to overdo things, and you've got to really be, this is where I've learned you have to be disciplined, because less is best. You can always put more on, but you can't take it off once it dries. So, but it really needs it for the drama, and I'm happy with that. You know, around the base of the, especially around the base of the crane as it bursts out of the water. You know, it really wants that kind of sense of crashing against something. You know, that some heavy object is sort of interfering with the water, and it's pushing its way through the water, and you really feel the drama of that. And I'm picking up on that and playing with that, and that's working really well. And it's just adding another sort of wonderful sort of curiosity to this the sort of the drama of all of this, because it has, in my opinion, done what I wanted it to do, which was it created a cutaway where you've got the above the ocean action and you've got the below the water action, which I think for this diorama is really important, because I wanted to show the mechanics of Bruce the Mechanical Shark. Now, the Stan Arts model is beautiful. It gives you that little moment in time, but it's a small proscenium, and understandably so, because, you know, the reality of it is it's a model. It's supposed to sit on a shelf. They didn't contemplate the insanity of this. But when you look at the production stills and you look at, you know, the behind the scenes of how things are made, this is what you would have seen if you could look above and below the water. And that's what I think gives this diorama its dynamics. So I couldn't be happier with that. I'm gonna continue to add my my wash, and I'm hoping in the final reveal we'll really get to be able to see this. I'll definitely take some beauty shots of this so that we can see what is actually transpiring, because I think it's you know, I think it's important. Now, the only other thing I will say is that I've been experimenting with what to do with the water that it sort of crashes onto the deck of the Orca, and I've got this more of this interesting material that I want to show you. Because I think it's how I'm going to go, and I'll kind of talk you through what I'm thinking here. I just want to finish this up. Let's get this finished. There. So I'm concentrating because I don't want to make a mess of it. But by the same token, I also want to make sure that I've got enough, but not too much, if that makes sense. So I think I'm good. I don't think, although I do like it crashing around the cables. So I'm definitely doing that, because I think that really makes it come alive, and like that. And I'll just get some in the back here so that it feels finished. There. Okay. Happy with that. Now, I want to quickly go back to this. This is from Woodland Scenics, and it's called Water Ripples. what it is, it's a clear gel that all of you will be going, Phil. And I know I'm a broken record when I say this. I'm being silly, but you know, for those of you who don't want to spend the kind of money that you can spend for a jar of this, where for the same amount of money you can get a massive tube of the exact same thing. It's caulking, but it's the way it behaves. And I don't know where this got sourced from. But again, you know, I can stack all of these in a small shelf, and I have them, and they last an awful long time. So you don't need a tremendous amount of it. But anyway, I've been experimenting with this, and it's a clear gel. And what you do is, and what I've done is I've put it on a little piece of test plastic here. Now, it actually starts to set up quite quickly. But what you do is once it starts to sort of set up and congeal, you have more control over it. And it's at that point that you get these wonderful, you know, you get these wonderful effects. Well, let me go over to the bench and show you this, because I think it's really important. I've been talking about this Woodland Scenics clear gel to create water. Now, it's important for all of you to understand that, believe it or not, I'm learning. I'm not a master at this. You are not watching a master bottle maker at work here. You are watching a knucklehead who is absolutely passionate about the hobby and just wants to learn. And I come to the bench every day to learn. So lest ye think, and if you get some techniques from this and you get motivated by this, I am the happiest man on the planet, because that's why we're doing it, right? But if you don't know about this stuff, we're gonna take a closer look at it. Let me get in close here and show you this gel. So I've had it on this, just sort of this test thing here. Now, curiously enough, it does react with inks, and I've got a little bit of red ink on there, and it picked it up. So don't be confused by that. But if you take this substance after it's congealed this way, you can start to control it. Now, it's gone off a little bit too much now, but you can control it. And my plan is to get this in the mouth of the shark. So actually, this is quite fortuitous. If we look at this shot of what is actually happening right now in the diorama, if you look by Quint's feet and at the mouth of the shark, it's okay, but it's feeling a little dry. It's not feeling dynamic. So I'm going to make an attempt to get some water effects around the bottom of the mouth, around his legs, as if he's fighting with water. Now, I most likely should have done this before I set him in place, but if I had done that, I would not have been able to figure out just exactly where I need it. And I don't want a lot. I think this moment is he's just fighting with the shark. He hasn't succumbed to it yet. He hasn't slipped inside. It's the moment he's fighting off this shark. So I want the water effects coming from the shark's mouth. I want them around the lower jaw of this shark. I want them around Quint's feet. And I think maybe a little bit sort of dribbling off the back. And you can see here where I could probably have it dripping down over the orca. And I think that is going to add a tremendous amount to the diorama. So that's what I'm going to be working on now. And I have a plan, and I'm happy with this. I think this works. And but and it does require a little kind of setting up. You want to let it thicken a little bit before you play with it, but that's what I'm doing. So that is the next step. Now I'm going to go back to some detail work on the beneath the ocean on the crane arm. It's lacking some stuff. So I have a quick Zoom call today. This is Thursday, and it is we're in May. We're in May, and it's the 16th today. I had to check. How sad is that? It's the 16th of May, 2024, for those of you who are time-stamping when this actually happened. So I have a Zoom call tomorrow with the great Jeff Fink, and we're going to discuss this and perhaps what other elements he can give me for the ocean. Now, while we're here at the bench, I think it might be fun to pull off my reference book here. And this book, Jaws, Memories from Martha's Vineyard, is by Matt Taylor. If you don't have this book, in my humble opinion, this is pretty darn definitive. It's a great book. Here's the book. It's a hefty book. I don't remember what I paid for it. Doesn't say. Well, it might in the back. Hang on. For those of you who want to know. Oh, there you go. I paid $50 for this quite a while ago. I don't know how much you could get it for now, but a couple of years ago. But here's the shot. Let me see if I can get this into frame, and I can. Okay, great. So here's the shot. Now, he's clearly waiting for a camera take. And poor Bruce is kind of leaning a little tragically here. But you can see all of the water and the debris. Now, this is quite lower than I think I'm going to be in terms of where I'm going to be. Oh, here's actually, well, this is what I was contemplating, but I didn't do. I might end up regretting this. I don't know. But that was what I was thinking about doing, but I didn't. I didn't because, well, there's a very good hi. There's a very good reason. The scale of my Quint. He's too big. He should have been smaller, a lot smaller. So for the illusion, I need to keep him as far away from Bruce's mouth as possible. Now, that's just full disclosure. I'm just being honest with you. But I think you'll agree that it looks pretty darn good. It's not fantastic, but it's pretty darn good. He's far enough away that I think I get away with it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and get some water around him. And see what we can do to affect this sort of dramatic. This is fun too. This is a great shot because they filmed this on a dock, very close to a dock. So this is great because what this shows you is the actual. They're on the dock, and they're filming this great scene of Quint at sea being eaten, and they're getting ready to set up for it here. You can see all the smashed debris from the set, or pieces of the set, the interior. Curiously, you could also see that the interior pieces of the set here were not finished, were not painted. But this is the moment that they're setting up for what I'm actually trying to replicate. So, okay. I will, I think what I'm going to do is continue on with my water effects, report back to you on what my conversation with Jeff ends up being, and whatever that is, I'll show you. Whatever we make, I'll print it, on the 3D printer, and I'll show you those elements, and that'll be the thing we work on. And I've got a couple of things I'm playing with, and it's actually kind of interesting, and if they work, I'll share it with you when I try to put this on the bench so we can have a look at it, and then I'll try to do some beauty shots. But in essence, I've been struggling with this idea of do we continue with this notion that it's a production proscenium, or where are we with it? But the interesting thing about it is if I put a couple of Klieg lights up there, or some movie, some Fresnels, I guess they would have been Fresnels. But if I put one basically behind Quint, pointing at the mouth of the shark, it does a couple of things. One, it looks like the set is illuminated, and B, it actually lights the shark, so it does a couple of things. I think I might go in that direction. We'll see. The only issue I've got is I need some kind of a camera platform or ladder / tripod. I have no people. I don't know if I'm going to put anybody in the scene, only because it's just too crowded. But I do have a camera, and both of those things were supplied. Those files were supplied to me by Jeff Fink, and I greatly appreciate it. He's also been helping me with detailing out. As you know, he helped me with the sort of the guts of this thing, the extension of the crane arm and the base that the actual shark lives on, as it looked in production. And so he designed that for me and created those files for me, and I really couldn't have done it without him. I mean, he's really added an element to this that I think is I'm really happy with. I mean, it's really quite complex, so I'm excited to show it to you. What I have on the bench now is essentially a box that I've detailed out. This is just some shrink wrap, some electrical shrink tubing, and so what I'm gonna do is use those as hoses. I don't know how much I need, but I'm going to use those as hoses, and they'll essentially appear as though they're dying into the platform. That'll add quite a bit of detail. I've also got the extension of I felt it needed a little more going on, so I've got this piece here that I've detailed out. This is just nothing more than all those different wheels and elements that I've used my oxide paint on, and then I've dry brushed everything out. And that's designed to sit on top of this box, and then I've got to figure out how to make it appear as though I've got some cables or some belts, cabled belts that are going to run from this section here over to the next section, and that will sort of create the illusion that that's what makes this thing rock. So I've got that, and then I've got these wonderful other elements here. I've got a couple of tanks that I'm going to put on the front of here, like this. I've got a couple of larger tanks, like here, that are going to sit like something like that. And then all of a sudden, this really starts to look quite impressive. And then I've got this piece that I can stick down in front, and then I've got these two pieces that here that they will correspond. They're going to go in the armature that's up there now, and they're going to live basically like this. And the idea is that I'm going to run my my cable linked belts, but I guess they were cables. I'm going to run these from here to here, and that will sort of sell the illusion that that's making it all kind of move. So now the net result of that, of course, is I've got more than enough eye candy and detail to show you what's going on out underneath. I also have, I printed 4 what are essentially diesel tanks. And curiously enough, it's the identical tank they were using that they put on the Orca. So it's diesel fuel that they were using to create a ballast effect in this crane, and they must have used those exact tanks for the tanks that appear on the Orca. You know, obviously production sees anything, you know, a hose, a tube, a tank, anything, and they'll grab it for dressing. I mean, that's what you do, and that's what they did. So I'm going to install these. I've got a couple of other cables and tubes I'm going to just clean up, and then I'll get this on the bench and we'll take a look at it. I'm very excited. I can't wait to share this with you. Another sprueVerse challenge in the books. I'm a little sad, actually. I just wanted to keep on tweaking it and changing things and adding things. And at a certain point, you got to be careful it doesn't turn into a cluttered old junkyard. So I had to say, I'm calling it. But here it is. The Stan Arts Bruce the Mechanical Shark, which is available from Stan Arts. And it is this quarter's sprueVerse Challenge, the 2024 sprueVerse Challenge. There might be another one. We're not sure. You never know. Sometimes there's 2, 3. Sometimes there, I don't know. But I'm absolutely thrilled we tackled this project. And it's a behemoth because the model itself, the kit itself, Bruce is a good girth. He's about 18 inches. And so the challenge here was to put this into some kind of a moment from either the production of the film or a frame of the film. This is a moment of the film where Quint, he has slipped down and he's sliding down towards the shark. It's that moment where he is in front of the shark and he's kicking and he's trying to save his life. That's the moment we've captured here. And what I wanted to do is I really wanted to sort of examine and celebrate the production of this. We've learned so much about the shark being broken and how it stalled production for so long and caused so much grief. But that because it was broken, it forced Spielberg into coming up with a more sort of Hitchcockian approach to this, I like to feel, where, it's what you don't see that you're scared of. It's Roger Corman who once said, you can never have enough tight shots of closed door handles. I think he was right. It's that sense of, uneasiness, that sense of foreboding that I think we really tried to capture here. But I also wanted to capture the majesty of all of this. Now, the kit does come with just a little taste of those umbilical cords going into something, but it doesn't really give you that detail that I wanted to capture of the entire mechanics of how this thing worked. With this frame, this sort of metal frame that had these ballast tanks on it, and they were filled obviously with diesel fuel, and the idea was that it would, like a submarine, you could sink it and then blow the ballast so it could come up. And all of the various different tanks and air tanks and all the hydraulics that we used to make the jaws move, to give it that motion, that rocking motion or movement. And I'm sure they had various different sleds and cranes and arms that they had originally intended to use. This was also a moment in which they, at the dock now, did the extreme close-ups of this moment in time. It wasn't out to sea. They did this at a dock. And there's some wonderful stills, which I will drop in here, of Quint. Here he is waiting patiently for production to start. Here's another shot of that moment in time where he was being attacked. This is the moment that I wanted to capture. But then I wanted to pull back and look at it as a production frame. Couple of things I did do. You'll notice here there's a light. This is probably a 10K over his shoulder. I did that primarily because I wanted to be able to shed some light on the moment. So when you hit the light here, you can see it adds just a little bit of blue light to this. I chose blue, obviously, to give this that sort of ocean feeling. But it does allow you, when you're seeing it in person, to really see some of the detail of Bruce's mouth. obviously, here are the barrels. I've put a few barrels in here just to sort of celebrate the idea of the barrels that try to slow the shark down, try to kill the shark. So that's in here. And I've obviously created this above the ocean and below the waves kind of feel, so that you could really see in total the whole thing. And I've got one shot here that I want to show you because I'm really thrilled with this shot. You know, I put it in silhouette, obviously, just because I wanted to kind of showcase Bruce. But we've got some wonderful shots here that I was taking. That let me see if I can pull one out. I like this one too. This is a great moment too. That's a lot of fun. And this is that sort of over the shoulder kind of feel. And I really think I did a great job on the ocean waves. You know, look, here's a close-up of my ocean, which I just think I'm getting so much better at. So I'm really happy with that. And then, of course, here's just sort of your wide shot of the shark. Almost finished here, but not quite, because obviously the rest of the details are not in here. And then one of the last things I did was I shot a portrait shot here in the and this one here, which the blue light does sort of wash out the top of his nose, but it's the finished thing. And this is we worked pretty hard to try and get all of it in the shot. Not easy to do. My clapboard, it gives a shout out to Stan Arts. It gives a shout out to Jeff Fink for his support and his contribution to the challenge. And so there you have it. I'm really thrilled with this. Thank you all for your support, your kind words of enthusiasm, and your great emails. Keep them coming. I'm sprueVerse@gmail.com. You can also follow my In the Weeds posts on Instagram. I do that most days. I'm taking a moment or two of what's going on in the shop or other zany stuff that I'm thinking about, but mostly it's about my builds. Hey, as always, I wish all of you, please be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.